Hello, boys and girls. Greg from the Scary Spirits podcast here to make you another cocktail. This week's cocktail is the Alien cocktail. And as always, it is the featured cocktail in today's episode. We're going to start with our glass with ice. To that, we're going to add Cointreau or triple sec, 2 ounces. 2 ounces. Next, blue curacao, 1 ounce. One ounce. That's a pretty blue. Next, Chambord, 1 ounce. Lastly, 3 ounces of Red Bull. I am using Red Bull sugar-free because I'm healthy. Oh yeah, look at there. It's like I planned it, boys and girls. It does turn green. Must be the Chambord. Maybe the Red Bull a little bit. And there you have it. The Alien cocktail. Yeah, it's pretty good. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. See ya.
This week's episode of the Scary Spirits podcast is best described by a popular meme. This is a movie where nobody listens to the smart woman, and they all die except for the smart woman and her cat. Yes, it's Alien, which is a great movie. But I say it's high time we start listening to the smart women, don't you think? Especially if you want to stay alive, in and out of horror films. And I don't know about you, but that staying alive thing certainly sounds like a good idea to me. Cheers.
Welcome to the Scary Spirits podcast. Please be advised that the presenters may use adult language and or discuss adult situations. This podcast is not intended for younger listeners or those that may be easily offended. So, if you're ready, let's go.
Hi, I'm Greg.
Hey, I'm Karen.
And welcome to the Scary Spirits podcast, the podcast that combines the two very different yet highly compatible worlds of scary films and alcoholic spirits.
What could possibly go wrong?
Indeed. How are you, Karen?
I'm just glad to be here, Greg. How are you?
I am as well, Karen. Just happy to be alive. Is that what you meant?
Well, I've had a rough week.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to talk about it. You can cut it all out if you want to, but
there's lots of that going around, Karen. I'm just saying. Shit's going haywire everywhere.
I just have some good advice for some people, I think.
Oh, okay. Okay. Is this dental related, Karen?
Well, it's sort of dental related, but there's so much good advice. But everyone, if you've listened for quite a while, you know I have a needle phobia, and it's bad. And it's a childhood thing from anaphylactic shock. It's a long story. but whatever. I don't like needles, and I hit the deck more often than I don't, which is, not fun. So this week I had to have a blood draw, which is just for physical. But then that was on Wednesday. So I was already traumatized this week that I had to go in on Wednesday. And then on Tuesday, because, I'm trying to be healthy, I'm eating granola. And I had a dentist appointment. So I go, I'm eating granola because, healthy. And
Before a dentist appointment?
Yeah, but because I wanted to have something in my stomach. I don't mind. The dentist normally doesn't bother me. Just going to the dentist. I know a lot of people have that issue, but I don't. The dentist is fine. But I'm eating the granola. Well, actually, I'm eating overnight oats, and I put the granola on top to give it some texture, and I freaking broke a tooth right before I'm going to the dentist. Snapped a piece of my tooth off.
You had the appointment scheduled.
Well, sort of. So first
Where
off,
else would you rather be headed when you break a tooth, Karen?
It didn't hurt, though, to be honest. It wasn't like I was in pain. I wasn't. But I'm going to tell you, donuts or pancakes don't break your teeth, but granola does. Okay. So first off, I'm mad at granola. I could have had
Ice
a
cream
donut.
Doesn't break your teeth.
I know. I could have had any of those things, French toast, any of that for breakfast, but no. So that's fine. So I have to go get a crown on that Friday. Whatever. The bottom line
Unless
is
you get eggshells in your pancake mix, and you might,
well, I hope my teeth aren't that
be a little
fragile. But I've got needles upon needles upon needles this week. But I'm going to tell you, there is a way. I've used this system for quite a while now, and I have not passed out. I hope I'm not jinxing myself. So anyone out there who does pass out, you could try this. First of all, I have to admit, first, they made me wait 45 minutes to have this done, which I was like a caged animal in that lobby, but whatever.
Well, they didn't know they were going to have to do a crown.
No, I'm sure I have a little note on my file, kind of like one of my cats when they came out and they said, Mo has earned 2 stars. And I said, that's not good, is it? So I'm sure I have 2 stars on my little chart that tells them probably 5 stars.
No, but you just said the dentist doesn't bother you, so.
Well, it's not the dentist. So I'm at the blood draw.
Oh, okay.
Which is just at the doctor's office. The dentist shots weren't till Friday. This was Wednesday.
Got it.
So I'm waiting and then for a long time. And then I go back and they always say, have a seat in the chair. And I always say, oh, no. No, we're not doing that. So to be right up front, I do ask them if I can lay down, and they always accommodate because they don't want to have to pick you up off the floor. And I'm always very apologetic because it's very embarrassing to not be able to do this like a normal person, go sit in the chair and pump the little ball and see how fast you can make the blood come out of your arm. I can't do it. Okay. So
I don't have to pump a little ball. It just comes out.
Well, you can make it go faster if you pump the ball in your hand. They do that if you give blood. If you give, if you're trying to fill the bag, you can race the person next to you. So I hear, because that's not something
I would totally race.
Right. You're competitive, right? So next time, take a little one of those stress reliever balls and pump.
I can pass out after you do.
I bet I can pass out before you. No. So I lay down. And here's the thing that I do that has served me very, very well. And I've probably told you this before, in casual conversation. If I read a book, I was in a library in San Francisco, and I picked up a book, and it was like a self-hypnosis book. And I just read this tiny little part of it. And it's helped me ever since then. What you do is you visualize numbers counting backwards from 100 by 2s. Okay.
Okay.
So I thought the first time I read that, I laid down on my couch and I'm like, 2s are too easy. I'm going to go by 3s. And I went 100. You visualize, you like in your head, however you want to. I like draw the number and put flowers in it because I want it to take a long time. So I went 100, 97. Then I went, okay, by 2s.
94, Karen.
You have to be
91,
you have to be able to do it quickly.
88.
So that you're not distracted.
85.
Okay. But it can't be so easy that it doesn't take your mind off of it. You have to remember, I'm really stressed. Okay, so I can count backwards by threes, but not if I'm stressed out. So what you're trying to do is balance the stress with something to occupy your mind so that you don't, you're distracted in your head. And then, so you go backwards by twos. And people who know me will text me. I said, oh, I did a blood draw. What number did you get to? So that's what you do. And ever since I've done that, you close your eyes, you don't look. I tell them, don't tell me anything because I don't want them to say, you're going to feel a prick. We're almost there. Just don't say anything until you say we're done. And it has served me very well. And I have not passed out since using that method on myself. So the dentist, I'll tell you, I got down multiple times from 100 counting backwards by two because they were grinding my tooth down. So, but it works for me. And I thought, well, I'm just going to talk about it because it might work for someone else. So good luck if you're a passer outer, you're a fainter. And they'd much rather know if you're going to faint because they always say it's so much harder to pick someone up off the floor. And it's very difficult to pass out when you're lying down. But I've done it. I have done it. So that's a long-winded PSA.
Thank you, Karen.
I'm telling you, if it helps one person.
I'm sure someone out there will appreciate it.
Maybe not today or tomorrow, but someday.
All right, Karen, I believe this film was my choice.
Wait, I'm going to tell you one more thing because you're laughing at me. Here's also what I'm going to say. This is a true phobia for me, and it's very stressful, and people don't understand it, but everyone has their irrational fear, right?
Oh,
like
yes,
say,
yes.
I don't know.
Some of us have several.
Sharks, perhaps, like you. No one makes you go.
That's not my only one.
But no one makes you go every year and sit in a room with a shark. No. I have to go every year and face this fear.
I have to go several times a year. If that was one of my fears, like every 3 months, I got to get.
Yes, they're taking if that was your fear. Well, that's as I get older, it's going to be more and more common.
Well, you're older than me, Karen.
I know, but
why
so
am
far,
I giving more blood than you?
So far, I'm doing okay. Don't jinx me. Knock on wood. But nobody has to go. The nurse who did it said she's afraid of clowns. And I said, well, no one makes you go sit in a room with your yearly clown appointments coming up. Woohoo! Next Wednesday. Aren't you excited? I mean, it's a real fear that I have to face every year. It's very stressful. The dentist, when I went, said, do you have any big plans this weekend? And all I could say was, I just got to get through this. I cannot think about anything beyond those shots in my mouth. And once that's done, okay, maybe I'll think about what I'm going to do. But plus they're like, got any plans? And your mouth's wide. You can't answer them. They got their hands in your mouth. You're like, uh-huh. Okay, move on. You don't have to sit in the shark room. Yes, this movie was yours choice, Greg. What did you choose for us this week?
The film I have chosen is the 1979 film Alien.
Any particular reason you chose that film?
There is, Karen, of course.
I know, you're so good. What is it?
Well, actually, we're celebrating 2 birthdays this week.
Excellent.
On the 5th, which was 2 days ago, if you're listening to this on the day it goes live, was the birthday of H.R. Giger.
Okay.
Most people pronounce his name Geiger, but I looked it up and it's Giger, H.R. Giger.
Enlighten
He's an artist.
Who's that? Okay.
Artist.
Of horror things or?
He's responsible for the Alien.
Oh, okay.
They saw a painting of his that kind of resembled this alien, and they said, I want that guy to make my Alien, and the ship and everything for the most part, where the alien's from. And also, this coming Saturday on the 10th is the birthday of composer Jerry Goldsmith, who composed the music in this film.
Oh, I like the music in this film.
Yeah, I did too. It's one of the things I wrote, but we'll get to it. So that is why I chose this film.
Okay.
Both of them are unfortunately no longer with us, but yeah, that would have been their birthdays.
Do you have a drink to go with this movie?
I do, Karen. Let's stay with me here.
I know. It's a tough one. What is it?
The cocktail I have chosen is called the Alien Cocktail.
Nice. Very clever. Very clever.
See what I did there, Karen?
How do you make this drink?
So we're going to need 2 ounces of Cointreau or triple sec, 1 ounce of blue curacao, 1 ounce of Chambord, and 3 ounces of Red Bull. I used sugar-free Red Bull, Karen, because I'm healthy like that.
Yeah, I'm not healthy anymore after my granola thing. Screw it.
We're going to mix and serve all those ingredients over ice. The website I found this on did make alien ice cubes, but I did not.
Which is funny because they stick the aliens in the ice cubes.
In an ice tray and freeze it.
Yeah, so they're like cement shoes.
Cement shoes for aliens.
For the alien.
Little
which, if I had aliens, I would
aliens.
do that. Yeah. I think we should do that when we're serving this on the lanai.
It kind of is a lanai drink, actually.
A little bit.
Should we give our friends and listeners time to make their own, Karen?
Of course.
Hold on. And we're back.
Yes, we are.
All right, Karen, might you have a brief synopsis of this film?
I do.
Go on. Tell us all the story about aliens and outer space.
In deep space, the crew of the commercial starship Nostromo is awakened from their cryo-sleep capsules halfway through their journey home to investigate a distress call from an alien vessel. The terror begins when the crew encounters a nest of eggs inside the alien ship. An organism from inside an egg leaps out and attaches itself to one of the crew, causing him to fall into a coma. That and just stops. I mean,
yeah, I know.
That's the first part.
Yeah, we are a match, Karen. Yeah, there's a lot more to the movie than just that. But
that's when the terror begins, as it says, but there
Yes.
is a lot more to the movie.
There is. All right, Karen, tell us everything you really enjoyed about this film from 1979. You remember 1979, Karen? I'm sure I've already asked you this.
I'm sure I do. I think I'm not going to say what I was doing because that'll age me. But yeah, I remember it. Everything I liked. Good times back in 1979, before you had any responsibilities or anything, back in the day. It's a beautifully shot movie, I think. The acting's really good. Special effects are still good, even from 1979. I mean, you can imagine how disturbing they would have been then. Now they'd be a little better, but for then, I think they still stand up reasonably well. I didn't have a problem with them.
Practical effects, for the most part. For almost all of them, special effects are practical, I would say.
A nice small cast, a great female lead, which I really like. A cat. Come on, there's a cat.
What kind of cat is that, Karen? It's like
we'll get into that.
Okay.
It's a tabby cat. It's an orange tabby. It's a good story. It's just a really good film. I've never seen it, which I know a lot of people would probably be surprised by. I've seen small snippets of it. I never thought it was a movie that I would like.
I've seen most of it. I never sat down and watched it from start to finish and really paid attention.
It just never appealed to me. I thought I wouldn't like it.
Usually doing other things I shouldn't be doing.
That list is long and I don't want to hear it.
Especially in 1979, Karen. Or it would have been the 80s when I saw it, I
guess. That'd have been a little early, but whatever. I was surprised by how much I liked it. It's very easy to watch. It flows very well. You're interested the whole time. I'm sure there's sequel potential. I know there were sequels. I'm not exactly sure how, but sequels were made. So that's good.
A few, yes.
That's probably it. Did I miss anything? Sets were good. Music was good.
Yeah, I wrote the music. Music was very good. It was suspenseful. Very suspenseful. Well, Jerry Goldsmith, I mean, he's awesome. I have his Omen soundtrack on CD, Karen.
That's like a dream of yours. Hey, Greg, we want you to, what do you call it when you score these horror films?
Yeah.
Score these horror films. I mean, it's horror and music, two things. I'm not saying it would be easy, but in theory, if you had that talent, it seems like something you would really enjoy doing.
Yeah, I probably would, Karen.
I mean, who wouldn't? But with the music background and the love of horror, it would be a cool fit.
I agree. There's some nice shots. I especially made a note of the first person view when they're like in their spacesuits walking around and you see the first person view on the computer screen. and the others are watching what they're doing out there. I enjoyed that. That was good. I do agree it's easy to watch. I wrote it's long, right? It's like 2 hours long, but it's suspenseful enough to keep your interest. There are lulls, but they don't seem like lulls, right? It's kind of a slow burn, but it doesn't seem like it because I don't know. Maybe it's because of the characters, because they each have their little quirks and kind of find out a little bit about them and as we're moving along.
Yeah, acting was really good. I thought they each embodied their character well. And there was a variety without being one dimensional.
I agree, small cast. I always like a small cast too. It was easy to keep track once I wrote down who they all were and what their roles were. I could remember their names. Anything else you liked?
No, pretty
Okay.
much everything.
Anything you didn't enjoy, Karen? Anything you were very disappointed in?
I wasn't disappointed, but you kind of alluded to it. It's not that there were lulls. What I felt like is a lot of the scenes, almost all of the scenes, to be honest, went on a little too long. Just a little too long. Like, and it was hard. It's hard to explain because it wasn't difficult to watch. So I didn't get frustrated by it, but it could have been it could have been shortened a little. There was a long walk to the alien ship. There's a lot of shots of
Didn't
the
they say like
vessel.
2,000 meters or something they had to walk? Isn't that what they said? 2,000 meters?
I don't know,
I think
maybe.
that's what they said. That's how long of a walk they had.
But it just went a little too long. The exploration in the ship, in the alien ship, a little too long. The shots of their own ship, a little too long. Lots of shots of the ship,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm sure at the time it was probably kind of fascinating. I think they did that in a Star Trek movie once too. And I remember thinking, it's just too not, it's almost like just to that moment where you're about to get frustrated by it and then they switch, but they could have shortened a lot of things. Even like looking for the alien in the core. It's not that I didn't like it, but I felt it. I felt like this is getting just a little, oh, they changed. It's just getting just a little, oh, they changed. It was right up until that moment where I was going to be like, okay. And then, but it's interesting because when you're talking about a film and you're watching something like that, you're like, they're walking to the spaceship. And then you sit for
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
quite a long
Yes, you
time.
do.
And then, oh, they're exploring the corridors. And you wait and they're exploring, but there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing else to say, but they're
Right.
exploring the corridors. So my notes are actually for such a long film, rather short because of those types of sequences in it. It's
Mm-hmm.
not that they're bad. I don't want to say that at all, but there's not a lot to describe in it, if that makes sense when you're listening to this. There are long sequences of certain things where there's not a lot happening except what you already said was happening. But I wasn't put off by it. It was just kind of weird that when describing it, you couldn't be overly descriptive. Is there
So
anything you didn't like?
I found myself thinking kind of the same thing. When they're on their ship in the beginning and we're walking, we're going, it's scanning throughout the corridors, because they're all asleep, right? So you're basically looking at an empty ship, like pretty
Mm-hmm.
much powered down, just like minimal power, right? I kept thinking, well, this is a big ship for 7 people.
It's a huge ship. And not only that, the ceilings are very high and
In
you know,
areas, they are, yeah.
but when you see like the International Space Station and stuff, when you see shots of that in not in movie land, it's very small and
Yes, very
cramped
cramped. Yeah.
and tiny. And this thing was the mansion of spaceships. It was huge.
Then I got the same feeling, even more so when they were on the alien ship, but it made sense to me because the aliens are much larger, judging
Yes.
by the fossilized skeletal remains that are sitting in that chair that is huge
Yes.
when they discover it.
2 to 3 times the size of a regular person. So that's all. I mean, it seemed disproportionate, definitely, the ship. But, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe it's a Cadillac of the ships. in, when's it take place? 2122.
Is that when it takes place?
Yeah. Or 2120.
Okay. Well,
something like that, somewhere in that arena.
I mean, it's 1979, right? So the computers in the ship were very dated.
It was fun. That was fun.
It looked 1979. It looked like you're playing asteroids or something at some points.
Yeah, but the mother
Very
linear room,
very
very Commodore 64.
one-dimensional or whatever. And lots of zeros and ones, Karen. Lots of zeros and ones.
But even the lights in the motherboard room were funny. I mean, it's just, but that's what it was. And the huge computer room that you had to have and all of that. And they didn't think in the future that those things might be smaller. That's what they had to work with, was the size of the computer. So that's pretty funny.
Yeah. Anything else?
No, I thought it was really good.
All right, Karen, what kind of cocktail rating would you like to give this film?
I think it's a 2.
I agree.
I think it's really good.
And once again, boys and girls, that's how many cocktails it took us to get through it. The higher the cocktail rating, the worse the film, because we got to drink more.
Which is not necessarily a bad thing, but we have to have some way to rank these things.
Would you like to hear a review of the time, Karen?
Sure. What do we got in Critics Corner?
Well, I have a review from the New York Times.
Ooh, a fancy one.
May 25th, 1979. But before we get into that, this film has an 8.5 out of 10 approval rating on IMDb, 93% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes. What do you think the Google users think, Karen?
94.
88.
What?
88% of Google users.
That's crazy.
They were too high. They didn't understand what was going on. All right. New York Times, May 25th, 1979. And I'm going to paraphrase. I'm going to read about the second half because the first half just pretty much tells you the plot or whatever. Alien is an extremely small, rather decent movie of its modest kind, set inside a large, extremely fancy physical production. Don't race to it expecting the wit of Star Wars or the metaphysical presentations of 2001 and Close Encounters of the Third Kind. At its best, it recalls The Thing.
It does recall The Thing.
And I have a lot more to say about that later.
Okay.
Though Howard Hawks' film was both more imaginatively and more economically dramatized. See, at this point, there wasn't the John Carpenter thing yet.
Oh.
So they're comparing it to the original The Thing from Outer Space.
Oh.
A Howard Hawks film. It's an old-fashioned scare movie about something that is not only implicable evil, but prone to jumping out at you when you least expect it. There was once a time when this sort of thing was set in an old dark house on a moor in a thunderstorm. Being trendy, Mr. Scott and his associates have sent it up into space. Ridley Scott, the director. As he demonstrated with The Duelists, his first feature, Mr. Scott is a very stylish director. Though Alien is not the seminal science fiction film one wants from him, it's executed with a good deal of no-nonsense verve. The members of the small cast are uniformly good, though, with two exceptions, the roles might have been written by a computer. Sigourney Weaver is impressive and funny as the Nostromo's executive officer, the second in command, a young woman who manages to act tough, efficient, and sexy all at the same time. Ian Holm is also excellent as the ship's science officer, a man with a secret that will set him apart from everyone else forever. Other members of the crew are played by Tom Skerritt, Harry Dean Stanton, Yaphet Kotto, and Veronica Cartwright, the actress who was so good in Invasion of the Body Snatchers. She plays a somewhat similar role here, one that requires her to weep a lot and leaves her so red-eyed and red-nosed that she may be in danger of becoming the Isabel Jewell of the living color space age, whatever the hell that means. Alien sets and special effects are well done, but these things no longer surprise or tantalize us as they once did.
In a very short time, science fiction films have developed their own jargon that's now become a part of the grammar of film. You know the sort of stuff I mean. The shots of blinking instrument panels, of wildly bleeping computers, of cryptic messages clattering in square type faces across television screens. There's also the obligatory shot of that huge space vehicle early on in every film. It appears from over your right shoulder, passes over our head, and then proceeds slowly and majestically toward the far distance at screen left. When I first saw it in 2001, it was awesome. Now it makes me feel like a turtle on a busy, though unnaturally quiet highway.
Hmm.
Tough crowd.
Yeah. I I don't know. I guess I've not seen a lot of movies like this. They aren't like I said, I didn't expect to like it. I've never seen Predator. I've not seen any of the sequels, anything like that. So I was pleasantly surprised by it.
I also have a passage I would like to read you from the Robin Wood on the horror film book, Karen.
Ooh.
Yes, Dr. Craig will be very happy. And it's funny that the New York Times review brought up The Thing, and you immediately thought the John Carpenter The Thing, right?
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah. So Robin Wood, in his one of his essays, goes on to discuss Alien and a couple of John Carpenter films, Halloween and The Thing. So he says, at first glance, Alien seems little more than Halloween in outer space. More expensive, less personal, but made with similar professional skill and flair for manipulating its audience. It clearly wants to be taken on a fairly simple level as a progressive movie, notably in its depiction of women. What it offers on this level amounts, in fact, to no more than a pop feminism that reduces the whole involved question of sexual difference and thousands of years of patriarchal oppression to the bright suggestion that a woman can do anything a man can do. Besides its resemblance to Halloween in general narrative pattern and suspense strategies, Alien has more precise parallels to The Thing. There is the enclosed space cut off from outside help, the definition of the monster as both non and superhuman, the fact that it feeds on human beings, its apparent indestructibility. Most clearly of all, the relationship of Ash, the robot science officer, to the alien is very close to that of Professor Carrington in The Thing. In both films, science regards the alien as a superior form of life to which human life must therefore be subordinate. In both films, science is initially responsible for bringing the monster into the community and thereby endangering the latter's existence. What strikingly distinguishes Alien from both Halloween and The Thing, and virtually every other horror movie, is the apparent total absence of sexuality. Although there are two women among the spaceship's crew of 7, there is no love interest, not even any sexual banter. In fact,
there was a little tiny bit of sexual banter.
In fact, with the characters restricted exclusively to the use of surnames, no recognition anywhere of sexual difference. Throughout the film, the alien and the cat are repeatedly paralleled or juxtaposed, an association that may remind us of the panther domestic cat opposition in Cat People. The cats even have the same surname, the John Paul Jones of Jacques Tourneau's movie reduced here to mere Jones or Jonesy. The film creates its image of the emancipated woman only to subject her to massive terrorization and enlist her in the battle for patriarchal repression. Having destroyed the alien, Ripley can become completely feminine, soft, and passive.
Okay.
You disagree?
No, I just don't think you have to be soft and passive to be feminine, but whatever. I agree up until that line.
Okay.
It was interesting that you said that because at the end of the movie, no spoiler really, she's in her underwear. And I was thinking, why?
Yeah, I did.
Up until this
point, he did
point,
mention that at the end. That's the only sexuality in it.
Yeah, but why? Like, it's like, oh shit, we didn't put anything in. We didn't put boobs in this. We better get something in. Not that she's her boobs are. It was like, why does she have to be in that?
Well, we don't really see her very well in the beginning when they're waking up from their
no
stasis.
That's what I mean.
But all the men are in like diapers or some shit.
They're in boxer-like diapers, though. They're not in Speedos or anything. I'm just saying it felt like we got through the whole movie, and then at the very end, when she has to fight the alien, she's in her fucking underwear. And it was like, really? I guess, okay, whatever. But it just seemed like so out of place. Because, like you said, the whole movie, there isn't any of that. There's no romantic involvement with her and the captain. There's no, it's pure straight up individuals, and then at the very end she's got to be in her underwear. It's like, that's just weird. It just didn't fit.
Yeah,
It
another
was
review I
fine.
had, which I chose not to read, didn't talk about that too.
It's fine. It's not a big deal. They kind of made it work because she slipped into the space suit, but she could have done that in different clothes. It was okay. It just didn't
She's
fit.
getting ready to go back into stasis or whatever it is, so that's why.
Yes, but she was wearing toddler underwear. Let's just be honest. That was the smallest pair of underwear you could possibly wear.
Really, Karen? Is it the smallest?
Well, that wasn't a thong. That was classified as underwear. Anyway, it's not important. It
I
doesn't
mean, she's
really
wearing a tank top. It's not like
it doesn't really distract from it. It's just an observation. I think that more females would probably make than males, because you have this strong female character who's carrying the film and fighting and, all of this stuff. And then she's got to be in her underwear at some point, which no biggie, just not necessary. It would have been the same film if she had been in regular clothes.
it would have been. All right, are we ready to get into it? Scene by scene, Karen.
Absolutely. Let's get into it.
All right. Did you watch this on Amazon Prime, Karen?
I did.
Okay, you paid the $3 or whatever it was.
I did. And is the link on our website?
It is, Karen.
If you want to throw us a penny and you're going to watch this movie, go to the website, click the link. It'll take you to the Amazon showing of the movie, and we might get a penny if you buy it.
We might.
Woo!
All right, Alien, 1979. Rated R, Karen, for violence, frightening scenes, alcohol use, smoking, and foul language. There was some alcohol use now that I think about it. They were drinking beers on the ship.
Yeah, but it's not a central part. It's not a focus. It's definitely in the background. All of that. Well, except the frightening scenes are kind of up front.
Lots of smoking, I thought.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that because that was funny.
So we have credits, and I wrote Jerry Goldsmith because, it's his birthday, and he scored it.
I just said lots of famous people in this.
They're famous now.
Creepy music.
This was Sigourney Weaver's first film.
It's amazing.
She was a stage actress up until this. All right, we have words to read, Karen. Commercial towing vehicle, the Nostromo. Crew 7. Cargo refinery processing 20 million tons of mineral ore. Course, returning to Earth. It was 20 million, wasn't it?
I don't know.
There's a lot of zeros.
Yeah.
Pretty sure it was 20 million.
That's a lot.
I know. And so again, here, I'm thinking, okay, they're on a towing. They're basically in a tugboat.
Yep. That's what I said.
It's a big fucking tugboat, Karen.
Huge.
Right. Unless they're going into the refinery in some of these parts. I don't know. Because that would be a big thing. A refinery, processing ore or whatever. All right. Anyway. Then we see a spaceship, just like I said in the review, coming over our right shoulder. And we're in the spaceship, panning around. So there's nobody around. It's all quiet.
That's what I said. It
Lights
looks
are
huge.
all out.
Yeah. It looks
Then
empty and it's big.
Computer screen turns on. Something's up. Power's on. And we see the crew asleep in their pods, I guess. That's what I called them, pods. And the lights come on and their pods open. I guess that means get up, time to get up. And we see all the crew having a meal. But I have a question about stasis, Karen.
I'm not going to know the answer.
I know, but so I already talked about, we see all the men, they're in like kind of like diapers or loincloth diaper like things. I don't know.
Well, one guy is, but one guy looks like he's just in boxers, long boxers.
No, I think they all are in the same thing. But so what happens? Do you not like expel waste or anything when you're in stasis?
Well, at some point,
Doesn't your body still have to get rid of all the waste
you're not
products in your
eating or
body?
drinking.
That's
Yeah.
true.
So, like,
But later on, one of them says, can we have another meal before we go back in the stasis? I'm starved. So they're eating right before they're going to go back into it later.
well, that's why they might have the diapers, I guess. But
Does your body just like kind of shut down and go into
well,
a
yeah,
deep
that's what
sleep
I
and
imagine. You don't, it's almost like hibernating would be my guess.
yeah,
If you're a bear hibernating, you eat a lot, but I don't know about hibernation. I don't know if they expel
you
waste in their
live
cave
off
or
the
not.
fat you've consumed, right? Or whatever.
Yeah, but I don't know if they
Yeah, I don't either.
use the restroom in their little cave at even unawares. I think
Yeah.
I would imagine not, but I
I
don't
mean, I
know.
guess it's possible they could have catheters and that kind of shit hooked
Yeah.
up to them, but I mean, we don't see
But
it.
only for a while, because after you don't eat or drink anymore,
Or a whisk. So what? A whisk.
or it could be like when you're in the cold and everything shuts down, nothing really works, but they
Yeah.
can bring you back. If you're like frozen, like fell in a pond or something and they pull you out,
Mm.
they can still get everything going. I don't know.
Yeah. Just a question I had. I had questions, Karen. I had questions. That one
But they're
anyway.
complaining about how awful the food is.
Yeah. And we see a couple of them smoking a Marlboro as they're eating, as you do.
Yeah. So how is that even possible? Smoking on a spaceship?
Yeah.
Well, here's a couple of reasons that would be not a good thing to do. Of course, it's fire hazard.
Yeah.
And the spaceship is probably an oxygen-rich environment.
Probably.
So it would be very easy for a fire to get out of control if you were smoking. So,
But, Karen, we've gone over this. You can put a cigarette out in a bowl of gasoline and it will not ignite.
no, but if it catches something else on fire, it will be fueled by the oxygen. It's not going to light the oxygen necessarily on fire. But
and you don't have to have a spark to light it either.
If a piece of clothing caught on fire, then it would, because there's oxygen, it would get out of control. So cigarette smoke contains harmful chemicals like nicotine, carbon monoxide, and tar, which could which could damage the equipment over time, which would reduce the lifespan of the ship. Smoking increases the risk of cancer, heart disease, and other health problems, but whatever.
It does.
And then cigarette smoke may reduce the lifespan of very precious filters that are used to recycle the air on the ship. So you're basically just
makes sense.
Lowering the lifespan of the equipment and they were smoking a lot. But of course they had been in the pod, so really relatively speaking, they weren't smoking a ton, but the one guy was chain smoking.
Yeah, when they wake up, well, we'll get to it, but they're 10 months from Earth. They woke up early.
Yeah.
So they're still going to be they were supposed to still be in the pods for 10 months. That's a lot of not smoking.
Yeah, you'd think your body wouldn't want it anymore after that, but whatever.
Well, it's psychological, Karen.
Hey, you're already halfway through the podcast. What do you think? If you like what you hear, can you take a minute and follow us on social media? At Scary Spirits Podcast. We're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Thanks so much for listening. Now let's get back to the show.
So then the captain enters a room. I wrote, his name is Dallas, with lots of lights, an octagonal room.
Yeah, there's lights all over it. Like Christmas lights, like blinking lights. It's what they pictured
But they're buttons. They're all little buttons with little lights on them.
It's like a computer room, like it's a big computer, and they call the computer Mother.
Yeah, and he logs in and starts talking to Mother, whatever. And the crew are expecting to see Earth on their screens once they're back at their stations after they have a meal. And they're like, well, where's Earth? We're not even in the right system. What the hell? So they thought they were on the way home.
Yeah, they thought they were awoken because they were close to Earth.
They realize they are nowhere near Earth. The captain tells them they are only halfway home. Mother has received, which is the ship's computer, has received an unknown transmission So she woke up the crew to investigate, possibly an SOS, which she's programmed to wake them up in the event of distress signals so that they can help whoever is in distress.
Yeah, I guess it's the law you have to stop, they say later.
But Parker, the chief engineer, he ain't interested in saving anybody. That's not in his contract. He's all about the money, Karen. He just wants to know he gets his share. He just wants his fair share, and he ain't going to do any more, no more, no less than is required of him to get his money. But Ash, the science officer, explains that there is a stipulation in his contract that he must investigate distress calls. Ash is very smart, Karen. Science officer.
So they won't get any money if they don't stop.
Yeah.
Is what he says.
So then the members of the crew go down to investigate. And I think they're still on the Nostromo, aren't they? Or do they get off? They don't get in a shuttle because the shuttle only holds 4. So they must still be on the Nostromo. They just leave the
3 of them.
Cargo. They all go.
Oh, yeah.
Go.
Oh, you mean when you're going down? Yeah. So they disengage from the cargo and land the whole ship.
Yeah. So they land on a rocky surface of some alien moon, whatever, and alarms go off and there's sparks and a fire. And I wrote, it's not as smooth a landing as it appeared.
No.
It looked like a very graceful landing, but apparently not.
All shit hits the fan as soon as they hit the surface.
And they begin sending a signal to whatever's giving out the distress signal, but they get no response. There's no response. So then they begin having Ash do some science stuff to figure out what the atmosphere is like. They can go out and whatever, investigate, right?
Yeah, they're 2,000 meters from the signal. You were right.
2,000 meters. How far is that, Karen?
Well, 1,600 is a mile.
1,600 meters?
Yeah.
So it's
little over a mile.
A little over a mile. So Dallas.
It's cold outside. They say it's cold. I know that. And it does look blizzard-like.
So Dallas, the ship's captain, Lambert, who's the navigator, and Kane, who's the executive officer, go out to investigate in their spacesuits. Parker and Brett, still concerned about their share of the money, back in the ship.
They're going to fix the damage.
They're trying to fix the damage. And then Ripley, who is Sigourney Weaver, the warrant officer, begins investigating the transmission that was sent. She's looking at a computer screens, lots of zeros and ones, Karen. Then we see the cat.
I said she's running it through the Commodore 64. So the cat is an orange. It's a ginger cat. And it's an orange tabby. So 80% of ginger cats are male.
It's all in the told me that before.
It's all in the genetics. So in cats, females have 2 X.
Is that kind of like, in the bird species, all the birds the males are more colorful and more beautiful than the females?
Well, that's just
like the cardinals are a brighter red. And
that's to attract a mate.
Female cardinals are
This is just
gray.
Genetic.
Okay.
Like just happens to be because females in cats like us have 2 X chromosomes and males have the XY chromosome. This becomes important when you look at where the ginger gene occurs. The gene responsible for your cat's orange color is on the X chromosome. Females need the gene for orange hair to occur twice. They have 2 X chromosomes, but males only need it to occur once because it has an XY. It's a dominant gene. So if you see an orange tabby, if you had to bet it was male, 80%.
Okay.
And they're cute and they're amazing little cats, most orange cats. They have very specific personalities, people think.
So they find a crashed vessel like none of them have ever seen before, Karen. And they go into it to investigate.
Now, I want to say...
And we begin to see the work of H.R. Giger.
Yes. Multiple times on this trip over to the vessel, and while they're in the vessel, the woman says, let's get the hell out of here. Let's just leave. Let's not do this. Let's turn around. Listen to the woman.
But I kind of get the feeling she says that about everything.
She is a bit timid. There's no question. But It's just funny. They just completely ignore her and just keep going.
And
They don't even respond.
they find a fossilized alien life form in a chair. And I wrote, "Is that the captain?" Question mark. Looks like it's in a chair with a big telescope or something.
And it's huge.
Then Ripley begins to discover that the transmission sent was not an SOS, it was some kind of warning. And she wants to warn the others out on the moon or whatever investigating, but Ash talks her out of it. Back on the alien ship, they continue investigating. Kane descends into a hole and finds a lot of Froggy's fog, as well as what appears to be eggs, Karen.
He says it's a cave and it's warm.
Kane slips and falls into the area where the eggs are. He shines a light on one of them and something appears to be moving inside it, Karen.
I thought that was pretty cool.
It was a guy with his hands in there.
Well, but still, he lights it up and it looks like something's
it's a cool
moving.
effect.
I mean, as those things go, I thought it was a good shot.
And the more we get to look at it, they're not really eggs at all. They're more like pods.
Yeah.
Like Invasion of the Body Snatcher pods.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, he calls them leathery. So.
He does. But the pod opens up and the creature inside attacks Kane. Hitting him in the face.
Like right through his helmet somehow.
And we don't really see it though at that point.
But it gets through
later. Yeah.
You see him cut off the helmet.
Later.
Yeah. No, we don't. It cuts away right at that moment.
Yes, it cuts. So, as soon as it hits him, it cuts.
Yeah. But it's going towards his face.
And then we cut to Dallas and Lambert bringing Kane onto the ship. So
they dragged him a little.
We skip all that.
Over a mile because they walked. They weren't on any type of
but they skip
vehicle.
All of that.
Yeah.
We don't see them descending down into the hole to retrieve his body or anything like that. Just all of a sudden they're back on the ship.
And they dragged him that whole way. Dead ass weight. That would have been hard.
But they're in like the decontamination center or whatever. The decompression chamber or whatever. So they're kind of sealed in and Dallas tells them to let them in. Open the
door.
Open the door. Ripley doesn't want to because when they're off the ship, she's in charge.
And it's protocol.
She wants him quarantined. Dallas gives Ripley an order to open the door. She still refuses. But Ash opens the door, letting the others in because he's right there outside the door. So it's 2 strikes against Ash. So then we see him cutting the helmet off of Kane, finding an organism attached to his face, wrapped around it.
Yeah, it's pretty gross, I thought.
Commonly known today as the face hugger.
Aw.
That's what it's called.
But if you think about it, it's gross, something stuck on your face like that.
But he's still alive. He's still breathing. You can see his chest heaving and whatever. But Ash begins to work to try to remove the creature from Kane. But they don't quite know what to do.
They can't get it off without tearing his face off. That's what they said. So they're going to look at him in some sort of X-ray, MRI, or just a light scanner.
They put him in a chamber and scan him. And it looks like an X-ray, like an MRI kind of thing, like you said. And they discover the creature has something down Kane's throat. And they hypothesize that it's giving him oxygen.
This is where I said Ash is acting a little suspect. This is what I first noticed. Is he the bad guy? Because something wasn't right with him.
So Dallas says he wants the creature cut off of Kane. So they bring him out of that little chamber and Ash begins to cut the creature and discovers that its blood is acidic because it begins eating through the floor where they are. It
squirts out pretty impressively as they cut the knuckle. So the sort of looks like a hand on the top and it's embedded in his scalp. Mm-hmm. So they can't just pull it off.
Everyone
That's what
knows
they're
what
saying.
A face hugger is, Karen.
Okay. Well, I didn't.
It's got a tail wrapped around his throat and the whole 9. So the blood begins cutting a hole through the ship and they run down to follow it as it cuts through each level of the ship.
I know, multiple levels, but it would be bad if it
breach the hull.
Yeah, that would be bad. But that's how you see how big this ship. They go down 1, it's still coming. They go down another. I think they went down 3
they did.
levels.
But eventually the acidic blood stops eating through anything it touches. Guess kind of like clotting. Eventually it clots and it stops eating through everything.
Well, or there's just not enough of it anymore.
True. So then Kane and Brett, they're working to repair the ship so they can get home. We see that. And then we see Ash kind of checking out the creature. He's using a microscope or some shit. So he's got
something.
He's looking at something. I don't know.
But when Ripley walks in, he turns it off suspiciously. Kind of like if you're doing something you're not supposed to on the laptop and somebody walks in and you slam it down. I'm like, she didn't notice that? He turned it off immediately when she walked in.
So Ripley asks how Kane is. And then I wrote Ripley and Ash butt heads. She like kind of gives him shit for defying her orders and letting them in. She explains that when Dallas is off the ship, she is in charge and that he disobeyed her order. But he says he was obeying the order of Dallas, who is the captain, but whatever.
And he said, oh, something like, I forgot you were in charge. And she said, oh, did you forget quarantine policy too or something? They don't like each other, or she doesn't like him. Did you notice it looks like they're all wearing Converse shoes?
Nope.
Oh, interesting.
Then we see Dallas. Apparently he's in the shuttle listening to classical music. Ash calls him to come to look at Kane. And Dallas immediately radios Ripley and asks her to join him. They get down to the infirmary
and also it just in that moment, Ripley kind of not yells at Dallas, but kind of says, she's not happy about the decision about what's going on. And he says he's the science guy. It's a science thing. He's just saying, I am in charge of the ship, but when it comes to science decisions, I let him make the decisions. So she's explaining she doesn't trust him, but Dallas is just like, he's the science guy.
That comes later.
Well, I think she kind of implies it here, but she does give him a hard time.
So they go to the infirmary and the face hugger is gone from Kane and they begin looking for it.
Yes. Okay. This was a little funny. First of all, they leave the door open. They walk in. Mm-hmm. They do close it after a while, but I'm like, you left the door open.
Yes.
Now, what did
Ripley closes it, I believe.
What did this thing do to Kane? It
hugged him, hugged his face.
His face. Do they put any type of protection on their face when they're looking around? No. They have these tiny little pokey things that they're going to poke it out and try to catch. I was like, I would have a helmet on or some sort of face protection.
Well, you already saw what it did to Kane's helmet.
Still, I guess, but I can't just imagine, like, come and get me. Here I am. I thought they were just not following proper procedure.
Well, there's 3 of them. There's safety in numbers.
Yeah, you're only 33%.
Yeah, you just have to be faster than 2 of your friends.
I'll remember that, Greg.
So then Dallas knocks something over and there's a startle scare. Then the face hugger falls on top of Ripley. Another startle. It falls to the floor as Ripley freaks out and it gone. It's dead. Ash begins to dissect it. Ripley wants to get rid of it. She wants to shoot it out into space, get it off the ship. Ash says they've never seen anything like it and they must research it.
Yes.
So then they all leave, and this is when Ripley and Dallas discussed Ash. And Ripley does not trust him. Dallas just goes by what the company tells him.
Well, he's been out 5 times with the science officer. The 2 days before they were going to leave on this mission, his science officer was replaced with Ash.
Yes, because Ripley asks him if he's ever been on a mission with Ash before. So nobody really knows him, I guess. So then they leave the alien moon or whatever it is. Back on the ship, Parker wants to freeze Kane and let a doctor look at him when they get back to Earth.
I thought that was a reasonable thing to do.
He said that at the very beginning when they first brought him in. Like, let's just freeze him. Freeze him. Just freeze him. But whatever. So then Ash calls Dallas again and says, hey, you need to come see Kane. And Dallas says, why? What's up? And he says, you just need to come see. So they get in there and Kane seems to have recovered remarkably, Karen, I wrote.
Yeah, he's fine. Little thirsty and
hungry. So he wants a meal. So they decide to have a meal before they go back into their pods for their 10-month journey back to Earth.
Okay, so he just had this face hugger on him. They don't know anything about it. He should be quarantined.
He's been quarantined from the get-go.
Yes, but they have dinner with him. Like, he could be spewing all kinds of stuff. But
well, wait
whatever.
for it, Karen. Wait for it.
Well, but I'm saying as the officer on the ship or the science guy, I wouldn't have let him eat dinner with everybody.
And as they're eating, Lambert's once again smoking a Marlboro.
And he doesn't remember much.
No, and Kane is chowing down. But yeah, he doesn't remember. He just remembers having weird dreams of suffocating or something. But then he begins to act as if he is choking.
Or having a seizure because they're trying to put a spoon in his mouth.
Yeah, they hold him down, put a spoon in his mouth. Looks like he's having a seizure. Then blood sprays from his stomach. He's still seizuring around, and then a creature pops out of him, Karen. Parker wants to stab it with his butter knife. But Ash tells him not to touch it, and the creature scurries away.
It's little.
Little creature.
Well, what would you say? I mean,
8 inches, something like that.
Yeah, it's not tiny, but it's not big. It's a little thing.
So then they begin searching the ship for the creature with no luck, and they eject the body of Kane.
Out all wrapped space. Up. It did kind of
look like a pod. I wasn't sure what it was at first.
Kind of go out into space. Doesn't seem like a pleasant thing to happen. I mean, he was not alive, but.
So then the crew break up into 2 teams to go search for the alien using a tracking device that senses movement.
And a cattle prod.
And they have a net and an electric cattle prod to capture the creature, which it's small, right?
Yeah.
So then as they're walking around, it's Ripley and Parker and Brett are one team and the other ones are in another team. But at one point I wrote Ripley points the device at Parker and Brett. And I wrote, shouldn't it be going off since they are moving? But it doesn't. But anyway, so they begin tracking something using the tracking device. And right here I wrote bathroom break, half over. I had to take a bathroom break and it was a little over half over.
They're tracking something and I said it's going to be the cat.
So then they find that they've been tracking the cat, Karen.
Yep.
The cat runs away and they send Brett to go get the cat so that they won't end up tracking it again.
Which, fine. But a cat is not a dog. You cannot send one person on this huge freaking ship to find the cat. The cat's not just going to run over to you.
Yeah, as he was walking around by himself, and I'm like, yeah, that was a bad idea.
I mean, it's just almost like he doesn't remember that there's an alien on it. He's like, oh, I just have to go get the cat. And the cat's going farther and farther. At some point, you just say, yeah, I'm not going any further on my own. Cats don't just come to you, as this cat right to my right just comes to me. He just came up. It's like perfect timing, pierogi. But it's rare that you would be somewhere calling a cat and it would come over to you. It happens, but not when you want it to. But he's going further and further and he's alone. And I'm like, what are you doing? This is not a good idea.
And at one point we hear like heartbeat going on. I'm like, what the hell? Is that just like mood music or is there actual heartbeat?
I think I couldn't tell, but he didn't seem to hear it. So I assumed it was music because he didn't react to it.
No, so he's chasing the cat and he finds a shedded skin, kind of like a snake skin, only it looks a lot like the alien can.
And there was a lot of water. Is this where he's...
Yeah, there's water dripping on his hat.
Water dripping down and he's like opening his mouth. And I'm like, he was enjoying the water, but I don't know where the water was coming from and what that was.
Yeah. And the cat looked really dry too, but whatever. But then the alien comes up behind Brett.
And the cat hisses.
Cat don't like it.
Hisses to warn him, but he doesn't.
Yeah.
He thinks the cat's hissing at him.
Too late.
And it's a big ass alien now.
He gone.
It's not little anymore.
Nope. Grew quickly.
So when it shed that skin from the teeny tiny little thing.
There should be many other skins lying around.
Wasn't it a fantastic metamorphosis? That's for sure. From that tiny thing to it's probably over 8 feet tall now.
So the others decide to try to attack the alien using fire because Ash said not many creatures like fire. Fire bad. So then Dallas goes back into his little octagon blinky
Mother.
room
To talk to Mother.
and asks Mother for help, but she's not very helpful. They don't know how to kill it. So they believe it's in the airlock. So Dallas says he's going to go in there with a flamethrower, basically. An incendiary device is what he calls it. He has Parker
It's the
make
Bruce
one up in
Dickinson.
20 minutes.
It's the Bruce Dickinson flamethrower.
It is.
And we've talked about those before, so I didn't bring it up. But they figure it's going through the cooling ducts. And Dallas is going to go through there. And is he in the ducts yet?
Mm-hmm.
I said, I would burn off my eyebrows if I was carrying it like he was. It looked awfully close. And it was, are they hot? I assume they're hot.
There's a flame coming out it.
Yeah.
The end of it. Yes.
So I don't know. It just seemed like he's inching along with this flamethrower that's lit as he's going through. It just seemed like, one, the air duct would be getting very hot. And two, it was just so close to his face. I'm like, he's going to burn his eyebrows off.
But he proceeds through the airlock and he tells Ripley to close all the hatches behind him as he proceeds.
They did open and close kind of cool, like an iris of your eye. It would open and close.
Yep. But then Lambert says she sees movement ahead of Dallas on her little
he's in the air duct
screen.
Yeah, and she's following along on a separate computer. Somehow she can see them. And she says it's right near where he is. So
then Lambert says she's lost the signal. She tells Dallas that the creature must be somewhere around there. She asks if he sees it. He does have his hand in a puddle of goo.
Yeah, a pile of slime. And it's coming right towards you.
Yeah, then Lambert sees the alien moving right towards Dallas. She tells him to get out of there, very hysterically. Dallas tries to get away, but he ends up running right into the alien.
Yes, not that way, she says. Not that way.
He gone. So now Ripley is in charge, if you're keeping track, since Dallas is gone.
And Kane.
So then Parker brings the flamethrower to the others. I guess they sent him down there by himself to retrieve it and see if he could find his body. But he said, found the flamethrower, but there was no body. So we missed that whole journey of him going down there by himself.
Yeah, so it could have been longer, this movie.
So Ripley wants to continue Dallas's plan. Lambert wants to abandon ship. But Ripley points out the escape pod only holds 4 people, so they could not all escape. And then she says, well, let's draw straws. And Parker says, he ain't drawing no straws. He wants to kill it.
It's weird that to be on a ship that doesn't have enough escape pods for your full crew.
Ripley wants to continue pursuing the alien in the airlock, and once they find it, blast it out into space. So next we see Ripley confronting Ash. She doesn't believe he's been doing enough. She says she has access to Mother now, and she will get her own answers. And she's in charge. So Ripley enters the octagon room with all the blinky lights. She accesses Mother and learns that there is a special order that is for the science officer's eyes only.
But it's easily overridden.
It is. She learns that the company, whatever the company is.
Yes, they call the company yeah.
Once the alien brought back, the rest of the crew is considered expendable. And then boom, Ash is right in there next to her.
Yep.
He's a quiet, sneaky fucker.
Yes.
She didn't even hear the whoosh of the door opening.
I wondered if he came in right behind her so she didn't notice him. Because, yeah, the door you didn't hear it open.
He says there is an explanation, but Ripley's not happy and they fight.
Yeah, he really throws her around, too. He's strong.
Yeah, Ash throws her around the room. And then she falls down in a bunk or something, and there's nude pictures.
Yeah, whose bunk was that? There's naked ladies all over that.
I bet it's Brett's.
But Ripley looks unconscious, but she starts to come around.
And Ash rolls up a magazine, it looks like, and tries to suffocate her by sticking it down her throat.
It was weird, right? He could have just put his hand over her mouth or a pillow. It looked like
It's like he was rolling up a newspaper to smack a dog.
Yeah, I didn't know what he was doing. It was weird. It was just such an odd way to try to suffocate her.
But then Parker and Lambert arrive, and they try to stop Ash. Parker hits Ash and knocks his head off eventually. And we find out he's an android.
What's with the milk? The
with
white
milky
liquid.
blood.
Oh,
That's his
okay.
fluid
It's
is
You see him
whatever.
drinking that at some point. I noticed him drinking it during the movie, and I said he's
Probably
drinking milk, but
lubricating fluid or something.
yeah,
Whatever. Who knows?
you see him drinking it, and then when he's gets
And
his head knocked out, you see it coming out of him.
And Parker says, Ash is a goddamn robot. All right. So then Ash attacks Parker, whatever. Lambert impales it somehow with a, I don't know, something. But he's out. Ash is done. But Parker figures a way that they turn the decapitated Ash back on. Ripley wants to know Ash's special order.
And he says, you read it.
Yeah.
Should be pretty clear.
Yeah. He's to bring back the life form, and the rest of them are expendable. And Ripley asks how to kill it. Ash says they can't. He says it is a perfect organism. It is a survivor.
And he admires it.
Parker tells Ripley to pull the plug on Ash. But before...
Well, he admires the purity. He says it's a survivor unclouded by conscience, remorse, or delusions of morality. And he doesn't want to lie about their chances, but he has sympathy, he says.
Yeah.
So then she unplugs him.
And then she unplugs him. Yeah. So Ripley wants to blow up the ship now and take the escape pod because there's less than 4 of them left, I guess. But before they leave, Parker hits Ash with a flamethrower.
Yes. Parker's got a little anger to work off there.
Melts him. So then they make their way to the shuttle.
Well, there's a 10-minute grace
Not yet.
period once
Not yet.
you
Not yet.
once you throw the switches. They say there's 10 minutes. So Parker and who's the woman? Lambert have to go get as much coolant as they can for the shuttle.
Okay.
And Ripley's going to go prepare the shuttle, and they're going to meet back in 7 minutes and then set the timer for 10 minutes to blow up the ship.
So while that's going on, Ripley hears the cat. So she goes to look for him.
For Jones, yes.
Keep getting shots of Parker and Lambert gathering the coolant or supplies or whatever the hell I wrote.
She's still grabbing stuff for the shuttle, and then they get a cart and they're filling the coolant on the cart. So very loudly.
Then the cat jumps at Ripley and there's a startle scare, right? She picks it up and puts it into a pet carrier.
Yes, a crate. Yeah.
Futuristic pet carrier. Then the alien goes to attack Lambert and she kind of freezes. I don't know, because Parker's right there and he tells her to get out of the way so he can torch it. But she just like stands there.
Yeah, she's frozen in fear.
But then Parker kind of attacks the creature physically. Like that's going to work. But he gone. And then the alien attacks Lambert. She gone. And Ripley finds their bodies. So then she starts the self-destruct sequence. Yes.
Just to read the instructions is kind of funny.
Yes. And it says ship will destruct in 10 minutes. She has 5 minutes to turn it off. After the 5-minute mark, you cannot turn it off. So really, she's got 5 minutes to decide if you really want to blow it up or not. 10 minutes to get off the ship, 5 minutes to decide if you really want to blow it up. So she runs to the escape shuttle with the cat. She has 3 minutes to stop the self-destruct, I wrote. The alien blocks her way to the shuttle. She runs back and she tries to stop the self-destruct sequence, but she runs out of time. She's a few seconds too late.
Yeah,
those
very
last
close.
switches.
Yeah.
Ship will destruct in 5 minutes. And right here I wrote, where's the cat? She just dropped the cat, right? The cat.
Well, it's in the carrier, yeah.
Yeah, right by the alien. Cat's in the carrier right by the alien.
And the alien sees it and doesn't do anything.
All right, whatever. So then she runs back.
You can't run with a cat. I mean,
there's no running with cats. It's like running with scissors.
It's just going to slow you down.
So then she runs back to the shuttle with her flamethrower. She finds the pet carrier and proceeds to the shuttle. 1 minute to abandon ship.
She also swears a lot at Mother for not turning off the self-destruct. She keeps calling, you bitch, it's your fault.
Yeah. So in the shuttle, she detaches from the ship and she escapes with seconds to spare, and she watches as the ship explodes several times.
At least 3 times, yes.
Lots of chain reaction.
And then I said, so after that, it says she survives 3 different explosions, but there's 12 minutes left, so more has to happen. Because I looked,
Yes,
because I
yes.
thought, oh, okay, she got away. I thought that was the end, but it was not.
Nope. So she's getting ready to go back into stasis. So of course she has to undress.
Said she's going to have to fight in her underwear. So
Um,
she puts the cat in his pod, and then she's getting ready to go into hers.
and she discovers that the alien is on board,
Yes.
but she manages to separate herself from it somehow, like via a door. There's a door between them, and
Well, it's
she
a
puts
closet door, kind of. It's where the
okay,
the spacesuits are.
right, and she slips into a spacesuit very quietly, deliberately.
So did the alien not see her, or it just doesn't do anything this whole time?
Don't know. So then Ripley re-enters and straps herself in, and she keeps singing "You Are My Lucky Star."
Yeah, so that is actually from she sings "You Are My Lucky Star," and it's from the 1935 musical Broadway Melody of 1936, also from 1952 Singing in the Rain. I think it's just a calming mechanism for her, kind of like my numbers that I visualize.
But then I wrote, she hits the creature with cold jets via like a control panel or some shit. And it comes out of hiding, really. It's kind of hiding, like up in the wiring or
Yeah, I
whatever.
didn't know if she started like CO2 and it was starting to suffocate or what it was, but some sort of,
Yeah, it didn't like it, whatever it was.
yeah.
So then Ripley opens the air hatch and shoots the alien with a grappling hook, forcing it out into space. But
But it,
as the door closes, the gun gets trapped, and then the creature pulls its way back to the shuttle, but it goes into the engine exhaust, and Ripley fires the engines, sending the alien out into space. Then she begins giving her final report. Final report of the starship Nostromo. All others are dead. Cargo and ship destroyed. This is Ripley, last survivor of the Nostromo. Signing off. Credits, the end.
so before we finish, I thought I had how many people believe in intelligent life on other planets, but I can't find that. But I can tell you 1 in 5 people in the world in this surveyed 22 countries representing 70% of the world say they believe that aliens beings have come down to Earth and walk among us in our communities disguised as us. The highest percentage of people who believe this are from India and China. So India, 45% of people feel that aliens are among us, and in China, 42%. The countries with the belief that that's the lowest is Belgium 8%, Sweden 8%, and the Netherlands 8%. So there are many people who think that aliens walk among us.
Ever seen the movie They Live, Karen? John Carpenter film?
No,
It's on my list.
I'm sure we'll get to it.
We might. I'm not sure I classify it as a horror film. So we may not. It's more science fiction, I think. But anyway. Of course, Karen, can't build pyramids without aliens or
Yeah, but
anything. Can't do anything. Mankind cannot do anything without aliens, apparently. Ancient alien theorize, whatever.
like what's the
Could it be true? Could it be that
pyramids and what's the rock?
Stonehenge, all that shit?
Stonehenge. That's what I
Karen,
couldn't
it's all
think
that.
of. Yeah.
They couldn't have built that. Humans couldn't have built that all on their own. They needed help from aliens. People don't have a very high regard for humans. I found. But whatever. Go ahead on. Do you know the original ending of this film had Ripley getting her head bit off by the alien and then the alien making the final entry using Ripley's voice?
Really?
That was the original ending. But the movie studio wanted the alien to die and Ripley to live. So, because sequel potential, but there would have been sequel potential anyway. But I guess if Ripley lives, she can be in the sequel, which she was. And actually, Karen, there's a film coming out in 2024, which is going to be a direct sequel to Alien.
Really?
It's going to take place between Alien and the original sequel called Aliens. There's They're making a direct sequel to Alien.
Hmm.
Or they probably already made it. But
So what do you think? There were eggs in the shuttle or something? Or
Karen, all those pods are still on that moon, whatever, wherever it
true,
was.
but there weren't any on with her.
No, they could have planted some, though.
Yeah, it's always
Ship that
possible.
blew up. It probably didn't have time to do anything in
They
the shuttle.
distributed them.
Unless it infected the cat somehow, Karen,
Oh,
while the
that would
cat
be a
was
bummer.
alone with it.
True, had little baby alien kittens.
Little ginger aliens.
Yeah, right.
All right, what'd you think of the alien cocktail, Karen?
I like it. It's good. Yours is gone.
Mine has evaporated.
It's a little sweet, but
A little sweet.
those energy drinks always taste like liquid sweethearts to me.
Mine was sugar-free, though.
True, but
It was
and I'm
still
probably
sweet.
gonna,
Probably still had all the caffeine in it.
yeah, still gonna be up all night.
Anything we learned today, Karen?
Oh gosh, what did we learn?
A lot about tabbies, I believe.
No, ginger cats, about people who believe aliens are among us, about the song that Ripley sings, why you shouldn't smoke on spaceships. You had more information about the composer and there wasn't a lot of, it was hard for me to come up with anything. There's not,
A little about H.R. Giger. If you look up the painting that they were looking at, it looks exactly like the alien.
so you would almost think that he painted it from the movie, but it was the other way around.
But it was the other way around.
Yeah.
And he's done lots of other things too. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with the band Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Karen, but they have an album called Brain Salad Surgery, featuring the song Carnival 9.
I'm familiar with them, but not that familiar with
Welcome
them.
back, my friends, to the show that never ends. Come inside, that song.
Mhm.
So he painted the cover of that as well. His work is very recognizable, as I'm sure you can imagine, after seeing the alien. Kind of alien
Think he
mechanical
gets-
looking.
Does he get royalties every time they use his alien-like alien?
Yeah, he's
I
like
wonder.
he's credited as like art director or something in this film.
Oh,
But he gone now. This year would have been his 84th birthday. But
he's gone.
He died not too long ago, a few years. Yeah, 2014 he died. So
That's 10 years.
10 years ago, Karen. It seems like yesterday. And that painting is called the Necronom 4. He did it in 1976.
That man had some nightmares. I think I've seen it.
Anything else we learned?
I don't think so.
All right. Moving on to the next movie then.
Are you ready?
I believe it's your choice, isn't it?
It is.
Oh, good.
Oh, good.
'Cause
Maybe
I got
not.
nothing. I got nothing prepared, Karen.
That would be bad if it was your choice.
Yeah, it would be. What are we doing next week, Karen?
We are doing the 2016 movie, The Love Witch.
The Love Witch. Sounds intriguing. Any reason you chose that film, Karen?
Well, it's Valentine's Day week.
It is. Well, it's actually Valentine's Day
Is it?
when our next episode comes out. Yeah.
Oh, well, then I chose it because it's Valentine's Day when this comes out. What could be better than The Love Witch on Valentine's Day?
I know. I see what you did there.
Well, it's called The Love Witch for a reason. I guess. I don't know. I've never seen it, never heard of it. I just thought it would be funny. And it is I believe it's a horror comedy.
You have a cocktail for us? Or
I
we're
do.
doing this one dry.
Oh, God, Greg. Yes, it's called the Love Witch cocktail.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Really?
Apparently she makes it in the film
Oh,
or something similar in the film.
it's like her potion.
Yes.
Okay. What are
And
we
it
going
is-
to need for that?
From spookylittlehalloween.com. You're going to
Eyes of
need
Newt.
6 ounces of berry juice, and there are instructions to make your own if you want to, or you can buy just a mixed berry juice.
Okay.
2 ounces of vodka, and 1 sprig of fresh rosemary for garnish, and berries for garnish. Apparently, she uses hallucinogenic herbs in her
Mm,
Love Witch cocktail, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to use
or
rosemary.
not.
Well, you do you, Greg.
Okay. See if I can find some hallucinogenic herbs.
It's just basically a vodka berry juice, like a vodka cranberry, but with berry mix. So we'll see. Hopefully she'll make it. You know me, I haven't had a failure yet, but I've been close with my drinks. It looks like it's set in the 70s, but it's from 2016. So we'll see. It's going to be different, that's for sure.
All right, we'll see. Anyone you need to thank this week, Karen?
Well, I'd like to thank our listener. There's a lot of podcasts out there. Thank you so much for spending time with us. What about you, Greg? Who do you need to thank?
Karen, I need to once again thank the band Verse 13 for providing all the music in the Scary Spirits podcast.
The music definitely makes the podcast better.
Anything else, Karen?
Please drink responsibly.
Yes.
Hey, it's Karen, and I'm here to talk to you about getting social with us. Did you know you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Scary Spirits Podcast? Or check out our website, scaryspirits.com. If you have something to say, email us at info@scaryspirits.com. And as always, thanks so much for listening. Please drink responsibly.